State here at Folsom Field.
The club soccer's journey for a second national championship.
And the volleyball team taking on USC and UCLA here at the Coors Event Center. CU SportsMag starting right now.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of CU Sports Mag. I'm Audie Streetman sitting alongside Josh Reising. We have a lot in today's show, especially some CU football.
Yeah, and we do. Let's get right to the highlights, shall we? Colorado taking on Washington State. The Cougars here in their first game as a member of the Pac-12 Conference. Early on in the first, 4th and 3, Cougar quarterback Marshall Lobostal darts one over the middle and picked off by Ray Polk. He would return his 52 yards down to the Cougar 20, and I got to say this, the crowd is loving this play by the defense. The interception would set up a field goal for Will Oliver. The kick is up, and psych! It's blocked by number 89, Travis Long, and Wazoo would recover the kick. Following the recovery, Carl Winston gets the handoff and gets to the outside for a 2-yard TD run. The Cougars would go up 7-0 early in the first. Hansen would drop back on this play and finds none other than Paul Richardson for a 19-yard grab that would eventually help set up a successful field goal for the Buffs. In their next drive, Hansen would connect with Richardson again, this time for a 9-yard TD grab and put the Buffs up 10-7. The defense came to play as well, and as they got not but one, but 2 sacks on the same drive, and guess who gets it? Running back converted defensive back Brian Lockridge. Wazoo still managed to get down the field to score a field goal, but the Buffs would answer back just before half and go up 13-10.
Following a touchdown by Tony Clemens in the third, Lobostal connects with Jared Byers for an 11-yard touchdown, grabbed Cougars up 20-17. The Cougar defense showed up too as they got Hansen with a blindside sack. And as you can see, Coach Embree's not too happy with the officiating so far in the game. Rodney Stewart would find a hole and he's off to the races. Stewart would scamper up the sideline for 52 yards on the play, and here he is coming on to get his close-up. He would then finish up the drive with this goal line run to put Colorado up 27-17. Lobostal would connect to Marcus Wilson for 22 yards as he tight ropes the sideline to stay in bounds. The play would lead to a Cougar touchdown. The Cougars would get one more crack at the win. Pump fake Marcus Wilson would find himself open for the 63-yard catch and run to score and put the Cougars up 31-27.
And CU would fall to that same score as the Washington State quarterback Lobostal would throw for just under his average for the season, 390 yards and 3 TDs, while CU running back Rodney Stewart had 26 carries for 132 yards and 1 TD. Here's what Coach Jon Embree had to say following the loss.
I have not got the mentality changed. Every time we go out there. And I know people look at me like I'm crazy and they talk about all the things we don't have, but what we do have, we got to find a way to win with it. Complaining about what you don't have or talking about all this other stuff doesn't matter because you got to play. So let's go play. We get a chance to go play. We got to have urgency when we go play. And until we play a complete game, and I've said it from day one, we are not good enough to play with penalties. We are not good enough to not play as a team. We are not good enough. And until we figure it out, we'll be sitting here doing these kind of press conferences.
With one of the most difficult games approaching, the football team will be without 5 defensive players as they travel to Palo Alto to face the number 7 Stanford Cardinals. Head coach Jon Embree suspended 4 defensive backs and linebacker after a violation of team rules. The 5 players, Parker Orms, Deji Olatoy, Paul Vigo, Josh Moten, and Lilolo Nobriga, will be out for the remainder of the season. The head coach was unspecific about the rules that were broken, but claims that they were severe enough to warrant a year-long suspension. In his first year, Embree is holding his players to a higher standard, emphasizing the character of the players on and off the field. The Buffs' already depleted secondary will have to face Andrew Luck, who's projected to be the number 1 draft pick in the NFL draft.
The men and women's cross-country teams look to impress in front of a home crowd at the Rocky Mountain Shootout. And let's just say both squads didn't disappoint. Senior Richard Medina and sophomore Shalea Kipp led CU to the outright victory at CU's South Campus. Medina won the 8K race with the 4th fastest time in course history, defeating teammate Andy Wacker by 21 seconds. For the women, Shalea Kipp had a career day, beating her personal best mark by 13 seconds. Laura Darko was the second buff to cross the line directly behind Kipp with a time of 21 minutes and 15 seconds. The Buffs will be back in action next week at the Pre-National Invitational in Indiana.
The Buffs' toughest test on the gridiron this year will be versus Stanford and Heisman hopeful Andrew Luck. With that game coming up, it got us thinking, and also brings us to this week's trivia question. When was the last time the Buffs and the Cardinals squared off in football? We will have that answer coming up later in the show.
Stay tuned. The volleyball squad faced the number 2 team in the nation for the second time already this year.
And football coach Jon Embree was livid following the heartbreaking loss to Washington State. He flat out hates to lose. Don't go anywhere.
Let's sit down for a second, okay, sweetie? Hey, Kayla, there's Mary from your class.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Kayla. Come and play.
Oh, sweetie. Why don't you go play with those kids over there?
Why?
Imagine the power of one voice. Find yours at freedomcenter.org.
Head coach Jon Embree played for some of the best Buff teams during the mid-1980s. He went on to play the coach in the NFL, and there's one big lesson he learned along the way. Embree hates to lose, and CU SportsMag's Andy McDonnell shows us just how much.
I hate losing. I'm competitive. And I expect these guys to win.
The 30-27 loss in the first ever Pac-12 game for the Buffs hurts.
Yeah, I asked them when is it going to be enough? When is enough enough?
But it's the way Colorado lost that is causing strong emotions from Jon Embree.
You know, you put in all this work, you do all the stuff that you've done, from spring ball to coaches week to training camp for this.
And the new head coach doesn't stray away from bringing up the last few years. He uses the past failures to reinforce his new philosophy that he wants to bring back to CU.
When are they going to get tired of losing? When are they going to get tired of finding a way losing? Because, you know what? This staff, we've been here for 5 freaking weeks, and I'm tired of it. So if I've been here for 5 years, I got to be tired of it myself, too.
Embree and his staff knew it was going to be hard. But this difficult?
We got to expect to win. We don't expect to win. We obviously don't. So that's on me. I got to figure out the way to get these guys to believe they can win. That starts with Jon Embree, no one else.
Andy McDonnell, CU SportsMag.
Right now we have Andew Tomasini and Rose Heaphy at the double team set talking some CU football.
Take it away, guys.
Greetings and welcome to the Double Team Desk. Colorado will pack up their bags and head up north to take on number 7 Stanford. But before we talk about that game, let's talk about last weekend's game. Rose Heaphy, Andew Tomasini here getting you set for this weekend. But first, like I said, let's talk about that game versus Washington State. Obviously, it was a tough loss, 31-27. Really, Colorado should have had the game, but they lost it in the third and fourth quarter. Talk about what happened there. How did we lose that game, which basically was in the bag by many people's standards?
Absolutely. I think some people may even go as far and say that they basically choked. So the Buffs, they were up 27-17 with a little over 5 minutes left to go. And that's a point in the game. You're up by 10 points. Just play defense. That's all you got to do. Waste the clock and then just play some good defense. Keep the ball until you can get that nice possession back. However, they allowed not one but 2 touchdowns. And both were passes from the Cougar quarterback, Lobestall. One pass was to Isaiah Barton, and the other was to Marquez Wilson. And that was the real nail in the coffin right there to Wilson. It was a 63-yard pass, just basically showing the current flaws that we have with our weak secondary that the Buffs have right now. Now, what else kind of going on with that secondary? What else went wrong with the Buffs and the game?
Well, basically, when you look at what happened Saturday, obviously you can point straight to the secondary, and they had two 10-point leads, one in the third quarter and one in the fourth quarter, and then specifically, like I'd mentioned and like you had mentioned and everyone kind of talked about all week long, is that secondary. They had Jason Espinoza, formerly a wide receiver, and then they had Brian Lockridge, formerly a tailback, playing back there. You're not going to be able to win ball games, and then having Anthony Perkins back there at the safety position with Ray Polk, it's really difficult to try to create chemistry for your secondary, particularly in a Greg Brown defense where they're blitzing so often. It was hard for them to get into a rhythm, and then you saw there at the end of the game when Marquise Wilson scored that long touchdown, the Buffs just couldn't hang with him. All in all, the defense didn't play awful, but they didn't hold on to the lead that the offense provided for them. Tyler Hansen played well. Rodney Stewart had 161 yards on the day. I thought they played well. They should have won, but ultimately they didn't get it done. Are there any other points that you can take away from this game heading into the Stanford game that will help CU, I guess?
Well, looking at Brian Lockridge, yes, it was his first game, his first time ever playing defense. He played and he got 5 tackles and 1 sack. For first time ever, I think that's a pretty strong performance. Of course, he still has work to do, but it shows that there's probably a little spark there, perhaps. Now, also, looking at Stanford, now obviously they're a stacked team. They had the Heisman potential quarterback Andrew Luck, and they went to the Rose Bowl last year. So, what kind of things can we expect to see from Stanford on Saturday?
It's interesting because Stanford is ranked number 7 right now, and Andrew Luck is a potential Heisman candidate. And chances are he probably will win it. He'll be my pick. But when you look at Stanford as a whole, they have so much more surrounding Andrew Luck. It's not just him. And basically, when you look at their tailback position, Stephon Taylor is absolutely phenomenal. He's had 2 games in the past, 2 weeks where he's gone over 100 yards. And then at the tight end position, he's got Cody Fleener and Eric Hurts back there, really open up the field. And what I think Stanford's going to do this weekend is let the Colorado defense attack them, run the football, and then, they can work into play action there. And that's when they'll hit the big plays down the field. So far on the season, Stanford has 20 plays of 20 yards or more. So it should be interesting to see how the CU secondary kind of matches up against them. Obviously, there's some issues this week. Players got suspended. Lots of the players were in the secondary for the CU Buffs. That's going to be an issue. That's where Andrew Luck is going to hurt them.
Absolutely. And so looking at Stanford, that kind of just shows the real strength that there is in the Pac-12. We've so far the Buffs have played some of the weaker teams, but now they're really playing the meat of the season.
Absolutely. It's going to be a tough game up in Palo Alto. Colorado will try to get off the schneid here. They haven't won a road game in 20 contests. Hopefully they can get it done. For Rose Heaphy, I'm Andrew Tomasini. Back to the desk.
The Colorado women's golf team needed a spark in their first Pac-12 tournament in Washington over the weekend. They found it in sophomore transfer Alex Stewart. In her 3rd tournament as a Buff, she led Colorado to their first win and the program's first win in the Pac-12 conference. CU was tied for the lead after the 2nd round of play and had to stave off Oregon and Washington, winning by a mere 2 strokes. Stewart played her freshman golf last year on the Purdue Boilermakers and will solidify a deep Buffs team. Colorado will tee it up next in Tennessee over the weekend.
The women's volleyball schedule is one of the hardest in the country. 6 of the top 7 teams in the nation are from the Pac-12. The Buffs took on the number 5 USC Trojans at home on Saturday at the Coors Event Center. CU has yet to win a conference game, going winless in their first 7 contests of the year. and junior captain Kara Schrader was looking to change all that against the number 5 team in the nation. The Trojans came off sweeps of the 2 ranked Cal and Stanford to move up several spots in the standings. Their 3 returning All-Americans accounted for 15 kills on the night and helped USC take the first 2 sets by a score of 25-21. Schrader had a game-high 13 kills, but the Trojans were too much to handle. USC won the 3rd set and swept the Buffs to move them to 0-8 in the Pac-12. Despite the loss, CU coach Liz Kritza is optimistic about the Buffs' performance.
You know, this week in practice, we really talked about how good our team can be instead of all the things that we were doing incorrectly. So if you choose to focus on what you're doing well and not on your deficiencies, then it lends a little bit more confidence to your players. And you know.
Like we said, it doesn't get any easier for the Buffs. Every team they have played so far in the conference has received votes for the top 25. The volleyball team took on UCLA on the second half of a back-to-back on Sunday afternoon. The number 2 team in the nation came into Boulder looking to take care of the Buffs in a quick match. But once again, junior Kara Schrader would not let the Bruins win without a fight. The Buffs captain showed why she is one of the best all-around players in the toughest conference in America. She can hit from the 6-foot line, she can play it off the outside defenders, and every once in a while, she can fire a laser down the far line. She recorded a game-high 19 kills, but it was all for naught against another stout opponent. The Buffs fell in 3 straight sets, but look to snatch their first win on the road in the state of Washington this week.
Being in the Pac-12 sure does have its advantages. No longer are there dreary road trips to Lawrence, Kansas, or Lincoln, Nebraska. That gives us the idea for this week's poll question. Out of the remaining games which is the most desirable to travel to, the San Francisco Bay Area for Stanford, Seattle, Washington for the Huskies, the Phoenix area in Arizona for the Sun Devils, or Los Angeles, California to see UCLA or Salt Lake City for Utah. Please visit cusportsmag.com to cast your vote.
After the break, the women's soccer team saw their first action at home conference play against Arizona and Arizona State over the weekend.
And SportsMag takes another look at Colorado's other football team as they begin their season.
Are you running on empty after countless late nights studying? Relying on caffeine to keep you awake throughout the day? According to researchers at Brown University, a shocking 89% of college students nationwide struggle to get the necessary 8 hours of sleep recommended each night. Getting a full night's rest promotes a healthy immune system, supports memory function, and restores energy. Sleep is not a waste of time, and sleep deprivation can have serious negative effects on your academic performance and social life. 8 hours. Get some.
Dude. It wastes energy to leave everything on. It's simple. Just turn it off before you go to sleep.
Do your part. Be energy smart.
Hey, I'm Jeremy Bloom, former CU student, football player, Olympian, and world champion. But most importantly, I'm a forever Buff, which means I'm part of 240,000 students and alums created by the CU Boulder Alumni Association. The University of Colorado will always be something I'm very proud to be a part of. The years that I spent going to school and playing football provided me with some of the best memories of my life. So come join me in creating lifelong CU relationships and explore the Forever Buff program.
Don't be mean. Clean your machine.
The Colorado rugby team gets just as hyped about playing CSU as any black and gold team. The Buffs will take on the Rams this weekend in their own version of the Rocky Mountain Scrum. Mandy Adkins shows us the team as they prepare for the big matchup.
The CU rugby team is preparing for their annual match against the CSU Rams. Through long and rigorous practices, they hope their young players will be ready for the task.
They're all healthy, they're all able-bodied, and they're all really excited to play. Our season so far has been a real steady incline of sort of intensity, and they've really responded well to that.
With late nights on the football practice fields, the rugby team attempts to perfect their game time strategy.
We haven't been running too much, but working on plays, sort of sorting out the kinks.
Set up! Been hitting really hard, and the coaches are doing everything they can to get us prepared, and we're going to wipe the floor with CSU this weekend.
The returning players feel confident in their team as they aid the rookies in advancing their skill.
A lot of those guys have never touched a rugby ball before in their lives, so it's a lot of just teaching them really the basics of the game.
CU Rugby enters this competitive game with confidence, hoping to exit with a win. Mandy Adkins, CU SportsMag.
We continue our 11-part series profiling the opponents CU will be facing in the new Pac-12 conference. As the Buffs head to Northern California to take on Stanford, we take a look inside this prestigious school. David LaRose tells us all about the Cardinal from Palo Alto.
We continue our series as the Buffs travel to Palo Alto on Saturday to take on the number 7 Stanford Cardinal and their All-American quarterback Andrew Luck. After losing only one game on their way to an Orange Bowl victory last season, expectations are sky high.
I think, as a team, we've put a little more pressure on ourselves this year to perform and get up there. So, it's nothing different, and it's part of playing quarterback, I guess, for a good team. You're going to have to handle the media requests and things of that nature.
The Cardinal will have a new coach this year in David Shaw, who was promoted from assistant to head coach in the offseason. He replaces Jim Harbaugh, who took a job in the NFL, and although he has big shoes to fill, Shaw wants to create and leave a legacy all of his own.
And that's what I want to leave. I want to leave a long string of guys that I've worked with and coached that say, gosh, I remember those years that I worked with Coach Shaw, and I really appreciate him for how he helped me both as a football player and as a person.
Speaking of leaving a legacy, Luck is trying to replicate the accomplishments of another Stanford quarterback, Hall of Famer Jon Embree.
No, yeah, he's definitely a hero of mine. I remember waking up to watch the Broncos-Packers Super Bowl. I was living overseas at the time. My mom woke me up in the middle of the night to watch him do a little helicopter into the end zone, so big fan.
Last year, the Cardinal lost only one game on their way to a 12-1 season, and you can guess who Andrew Luck and Stanford are looking forward to playing the most this season.
Oregon. They beat us last year. They're the best team in the conference. They won it last year, so I guess everybody just got in for them.
David LaRose, CU SportsMag.
The Colorado football team isn't playing as well as everyone expected in their first year in the Pac-12, but there's a long way to go on this 13-game season. Alexis Perry hit campus to see how optimistic students were about the rest of the year.
The Buffaloes will travel to Silicon Valley this weekend to take on number 7 Stanford and Andrew Luck. I'm out on the Boulder campus today asking students for a midterm report on Colorado football.
Our strengths?
So I think we have some really great guys on the sidelines. Our coaching's been really good this year.
We seem to have a pretty excited fan base, but we keep letting them down.
I would say its weaknesses are pretty much everything else.
There's too many weaknesses right now, to be honest. It's bad. The secondary is a little weak right now.
Defense really needs to step it up if we're going to have any chance this weekend.
The secondary, obviously we had a breakdown in coverage against Washington State, so hopefully we can rebound off that.
I think an upset's in the making.
You can't say that without laughing. I think we're going to lose by about 40. I think Stanford's going to kill us. I think Andrew Luck will tear us apart, our secondary.
Like any team, it goes with the quarterback, so Andrew Luck's obviously an amazing athlete, but if you can contain him, and I'd say keep him under 400 yards maybe, we might be able to win.
I don't have high hopes. I'd love to be a great Buffs fan, but we really need to step it up if we're going to be a good competitor.
Maybe one more win, max.
2 to 3.
Yeah.
2 to 3 wins.
He's a little more optimistic than I am, but we'll see. So.
Yeah.
Rolling off 8 straight. We're going 9-4. We're going to win the Holiday Bowl against Cincinnati. How's that sound?
While Buffalo fans may still love their team, they are not in love with their team's chances for the rest of the season. Alexis Perry, CU SportsMag.
The women's soccer team welcomed their first Pac-12 opponent to Boulder over the weekend. Colorado was looking to bounce back from a disappointing 2-0 loss at Oregon State to open up conference play. The Arizona Wildcats came to Prentup Field this Friday to take on the Buffs. It was a close game for the entire game. Arizona scored the first with a beautiful crossing header by Susana Melendez. The Buffs would tie up the game with a header of their own by Ant Stuller. That was not the last time the Wildcats goalie would hear from Stuller. The Buffs then took the lead when an Amy Barksdale penalty shot bounced off the Wildcats goalie, but Stuller was there to put it in for her second goal of the night. Arizona would tie up the game later on, and the game would have to end in a tie even after 2 overtimes.
That wasn't the only tough game the Buffs played last week. On Sunday, the soccer team took on Arizona State University at Prentup Field. The only score in the game came 5 minutes into the second half. ASU's Nikki Stone was a penalty shot after she was fouled in the box. She was able to beat keeper Annie Brunner to the top left corner of the goal. The Sun Devils would be able to hold that lead for the rest of the game as they handed the Buffs their 8th loss of the season. Colorado will travel to Washington looking to win their first Pac-12 match.
Have you thought of the answer to the pesky trivia question? We'll reveal that after the break.
And the men's soccer team is defending its national title. We'll take a look at how they plan to repeat on top. Stay tuned.
Help wanted. Immediate openings available for the most important jobs in America, helping the organizations that help children. Whatever you can do, in whatever time you have, you can make a difference. To learn how you can help in your community, reach us at this web address and number. We're fighting for the children. Whose side are you on?
Change. It's coming faster. Only those with high-tech skills will excel.
Power, spear 1-1, holding short of 1-6.
I'm getting those skills now in the Air Force. It's given me powerful tools, education, training, and experience. With Air Force skills, I can keep up with tomorrow's changes, and so can you.
I'm starving. What's for breakfast?
Guten Tag!
Johannes, Franz!
I bring you arts-enriched Raisinblams, fortified with increased test scores and creative problem-solving skills.
It's good!
And good for you.
Bobby? Susie?
Don't worry, that's just the power of the arts!
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
No, what'd she say?
She said whatever.
No, she says that all the time.
What's that?
Hello? I'm on the phone. Mom, I'm on the phone! Hello? I'm on the phone.
Who's this? It's me. I'm on the phone. Mom.
Oh, you're on the phone. All right. Sorry. Anyway.
Who are you talking to? Kelly?
Mom.
All right.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you.
Have you figured out this week's trivia question? Here it is one more time. When was the last time the Buffs and the Cardinals squared off in football? The answer is 1993, when the Buffs were coached under Bill McCartney as they lost 37-41 at Stanford.
Thanks for tuning into this week's show. I know we have a very exciting game to look forward to this weekend with Stanford. What is your expected outcome for the game?
Well, I think we're going to have a tough time this weekend going up against Stanford. This is going to be a great offense that we're going to be going up against. Andrew Luck is a great quarterback. Obviously, we've been saying that he's a projected number 1 pick in the NFL draft. He's going to be quite the sight to see on Saturday night.
Definitely. I know CU is going to definitely have to push through this weekend and do the best that they can. I know they don't have the best streak going so far, but we're going to hope that games to come we can definitely fix that.
And I look forward to Rodney Stewart and see what he can do out there as in the running game as well, and see if we can get the offense going. Well, that's all the time we have for SportsMag today. Thanks for tuning in, and we look to see you again soon.